Yo, yo, yo! Yeah, we start to play. Steelers by the lake, with a word to say. James Strong, Cody Tanner, hosts on the mic. About to dive in deep, keep it live, that's right.
Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined once again by my co-host Cody Tanner. Cody, how are you on this chilly Sunday morning?
James, it is a chilly Sunday morning. I turned the heat off last night up in my bedroom, and
Mm.
it got pretty cold, but it was a comfortable cold. I just added another blanket in the middle of the night and felt pretty good. So, how are you doing, James?
Doing well, man. All you got to do is pull Charlotte a little bit closer in those situations.
Oh,
and
she
you're
was
good to go.
close. She was close. She got under and was cuddling me real good last night. So she was. For those of you that don't know, Charlotte is my dog. So she is a big time cuddler. I have her covered up with a baby Yoda blanket right now. So she's living the life right now.
And an absolute sweetheart, I might add.
She is. James, how are you?
Yeah. I'm good, man. I'm good.
Good.
I'm good. Ready to take on another day, get a little lift in here after the show, and yeah, pick some things up and put them back down.
We're excited to move some weights. I move some weights tomorrow. Today's
Nice.
an off day. Got to get to church after this. But before we go too far into any of this stuff, James, we got a couple things to talk about news wise, and then we're gonna do another live draft for you guys, live mock draft. So that will be done on the show next Sunday. James and I hopefully are gonna like next weekend, maybe sometime. Hopefully we will get on for an actual live draft and have you guys in the comments, have you guys know that we're gonna be live. We will hopefully post that news or that information sometime today or tomorrow. That way you guys can prepare to listen, be with us or whatever you want to do if you want to be involved. It should be live on all three Facebook. I'm thinking Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. So we will look more into that shortly. But James, we got some Steelers news.
We do, man, and it's news, but not news at the same time, which is just the way this offseason is going with the quarterback situation. So this most recent week here, Aaron Rodgers met up with DK Metcalf in California, had a little throwing session, which I think is very indicative of Aaron Rodgers' plans for this upcoming season. I don't see any reason for him to reach out to DK of all people otherwise, other than to try to get on the same page with the guy that's about to be his number one target for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So this is not something that neither one of them were in California. They both flew there to do this. DK has a home out there. Aaron spends a lot of time out there training. So they were both already out there. But being said, it's out there. Aaron Rodgers is basically going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. It's only a matter of time. And I hope they wait until after the draft to announce it. I really do. I hope they have this all worked out in the details. And it's just, no, we're not going to say anything until then so that everybody and their mother thinks they got to jump in front of Pittsburgh in the draft to go get their quarterback. And ours is already on the team, just not official.
Yep. Yeah, that would be fantastic for us that people have to jump up and get other positions that we don't necessarily want in the draft, even though I still think we should draft a quarterback, bring a quarterback in, whatever. But very interesting that they were throwing together. Very, it kind of spits all the information right out there for you. But again, things could be crazy. I think it was Ben Roethlisberger on his podcast talked about how he believes that he's still waiting out for Minnesota. He's still hoping something happens with Minnesota to complete the Brett Favre trifecta of following his career completely, which would be just really weird in my opinion. Honestly, really, really weird. It's almost like Aaron never got over the fact that Brett Favre thought he was better than him, or it was a lot of weird things going on. But we'll find out what's going to happen.
And do you really want to do that just to be the second best quarterback that did all that?
Yeah, really.
That's the thing. Favre's got more wins, more touchdowns. Like, you're not going to go down in history as, oh, I did it all better than Brett Favre did. It's already too late for that. unless he gets
another Super Bowl. Unless he gets another Super Bowl.
Yep.
So,
which is just ironic in itself that the only one he won was against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I still remember that game. I was very mad at that game.
Yeah, I was too.
But yeah, James, what else we got to talk about? Nothing.
Nothing crazy, man. It's been getting a little quiet in free agency. There's nothing but low-level guys signing now. We're getting some details on some of these contracts that we didn't know previously. Like one thing that was reported incorrectly originally, the Ben Skoranek deal.
Yeah.
He was the same time as somebody else. I forget who the other guy was. That was a little bit less exciting.
Scotty Miller?
Scotty Miller. Yeah, that's who it was. Scotty Miller. Good call. Ben was actually a 2-year deal, and he was a 2-year deal for more than like $2 million a year.
Yep.
So I think that's actually kind of significant. It goes to show that they value him and his contributions on special teams more than just someone of minimum value, but also a little bit on offense. And to me, it kind of makes that wide receiver room a little bit more crowded because you don't give somebody money like that and then turn around and cut them. So I feel like unless they move on from George Pickens, we have 5 wide receivers that are already locks to make the team on the team.
Yep.
With an offense that is a run heavy and tight end heavy offense, whereas 6th wide receiver is not a guarantee to make the team.
Nope.
So, and then you look at where Pittsburgh's been going during all these all the pro days. And they've sent their wide receivers coach to a bunch of different schools to check out all these different college wide receivers. So I'm so confused, man. Part of it makes it look like maybe they're thinking about moving on from Pickens.
And maybe that's the case, but at the same time, Pittsburgh in the past is notorious for just drafting wide receivers. Like every year we draft a wide receiver. And maybe now I'm curious to look up when the last time was we didn't. It probably isn't as far back as you think, but with how often we do draft a wide receiver, it's probably a lot in the last 20 years. So we'll see how it goes.
Was there a year in between Pickens and Roman Wilson where we didn't draft one? I feel like there was nobody the year in between because there was Pickens and Calvin Austin were the same year. Roman Wilson was last year, but I don't think we took a wide receiver the year in between.
I mean, we can absolutely find out.
That was the Broderick Jones, Keanu Benton, Joey Porter Jr., Darnell Washington, Nick Herbig, all those guys that year. But I don't know that I don't think a wide receiver was in that class.
No, you're right. 2023 we did not draft a wide receiver. 2024 we did. 2025 or 2022 we did with you said 2 of them. 2021 we didn't draft a wide receiver.
But if you think about the room back then, too, you had Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool and Juju Smith-Schuster. You didn't think you needed to draft any. You thought you had your guys of the future, and none of them are on the team now.
Yeah, 2020 we drafted Chase Claypool in the first round. 2019 we drafted Deontay Johnson in the third round. James Washington was a 2018 second-round draft pick. Juju Smith-Schuster was a second round in 2017.
Yeah.
DeMarcus Ayers was a 7th round in 2016. Sammy Coates was a 3rd round in 2015. And then we got Dree Archer and Martavis Bryant in 2014 in back-to-back picks. Marcus Wheaton was a 2013 pick. Also, Justin Brown was a 2013 pick. Tony Clemens was a 2012 pick.
All right, I remember Tony.
And then 2011 was another year without one. And then the 2010 was Emmanuel Sanders and Antonio Brown.
So it's like once every 10 years they don't draft a wide receiver.
Yeah. Mike Wallace was 2009. Limas Swede was 08. Dallas Baker was 07.
I remember him. Florida guy.
Yep. Santonio Holmes was 2006, as well as Willie Reed.
Florida State for Willie Reed.
Yeah. Fred Gibson was 2005. No one in 04. No one in 04.
I remember being so excited about Fred Gibson. I'm like, yeah, they took another Georgia wide receiver. Let's go. He was nothing. He never developed. I think he was off the team after like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. So I mean, it is a position when you think about it. There's 5 to 6 players on the team in that position every year.
Yep.
It makes sense.
Yeah, and a lot of teams do run 4 wide receiver sets, so having 3 or 4 good quality wide receivers is important. I just feel like Pittsburgh has it already. That's the thing. That's what I struggle with in doing a mock draft is prioritizing wide receiver when I say DK Metcalf is a wide receiver 1, some call him a 2, whatever. George Pickens, same deal. Calvin Austin III really stepped up last year. Roman Wilson, you took in the third round
And we
last
haven't
year. Yeah, but you're not going to just throw in the towel on him. They're going to have him as part of their plans for this upcoming season. And then you just paid Ben Skoranek a decent amount of money to be on the team.
He's a gunner.
He is, but he adds value on offense. Like,
He does.
Let's
He
be
plays
real.
Yeah.
He is one heck of a blocker, and he's a really good seam buster too.
Yep.
He showed some real versatility last year, and a few times where they hit him on those middle routes where he just went between the hashes and went and caught it like a tight end. Man, I like Skoranek, but yeah, I struggle with prioritizing wide receiver high.
Nope, that makes sense. That is fair. Speaking of mock drafts, James, we're about to have another one. But before we go too far into the mock draft, James, a word from our sponsors. Supporters of Steelers by the Lake include the Edinburgh Hotel Bar, located at 100 Meadville Street in downtown Edinburgh, offering daily lunch and dinner specials from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. For more information, you can call 814-734-5103 or visit the site you see on screen if you're on YouTube, edinburghhotelbar.com. Appreciate Edinburgh Hotel Bar very much. Love those guys. I'm probably going to be there maybe this week for dinner one of these days. I'm not too sure. But James, now it's time for another live mock draft. So let's put this screen up. It's going to be very interesting here, James. So let's go ahead. We'll select Pittsburgh. If you guys haven't done one of these yet, you probably should. They're exciting. This one is on profootballnetwork.com. You can select your team, select the number of rounds, and select the draft speed. We're going to go fast just because we don't want to watch everything happen. But we're going to see what happens here as we're rolling. So I'm sure Pittsburgh might actually accept this in real life, but we're not going to accept it. James, I don't know if you can see that or not.
Barely. It looked like moving down 3 spots, and then is that a second next year?
Yep, that's what that would be.
Which, in real life would be tempting, but not for us.
Yep. Oh man.
All right, fill me in. I can't read all the numbers.
All right, so we're still not going to accept this just because of how far back we go. Trading the 21st overall for the 50th, 52nd, and 92nd overall.
That's a big no.
It's a lot of capital. It is a lot of capital, but it's too far of a drop.
Yeah, that takes you away from all the top end talent at that point.
Yeah. So real quick, Cameron Ward went to the Titans. Will Campbell went to the Browns. Ashton Genty went to the Giants. Abdul Carter to the Patriots. Travis Hunter to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Big DT Mason Graham went 7th. Looking at who else here that we might have been looking at. Malachi Starks, safety, Georgia, stays in Georgia as he goes to Atlanta. And Derek Harmon went 18 to the Seattle Seahawks. So now we're up here looking at your safety that you drafted, James, in Nick Emenwari. We also have Jahdae Barron, cornerback from Texas. Walter Nolan, defensive tackle, Ole Miss. I'm trying to think of what Pittsburgh would do here.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Kenneth Grant did not get drafted yet in this, correct?
Grant, the DT?
Defensive tackle from Michigan.
No, he's listed as 35th here.
Yeah, they have him extremely undervalued. Most experts have him going in the top 10 to 15 in mocks, but for whatever reason, Pro Football Network has him lower on. So that would be someone that they would definitely be strongly considering in that position. You mentioned Nick Emenwari being available. That's something we did last week, and it would not surprise me. My stance with safeties is that if you can get a highly talented one in the first or second round, that would be an upgrade over like Deshaun Elliott. You do it. Otherwise, wait until late. Because you're not going to get somebody likely in the 3rd or 4th round better than your current backup safety.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a waste in those mid rounds, in my opinion. So he's at least someone that would be a possibility. What jumps out at you beyond those guys? Is there like a wide receiver, offensive lineman, one of the top tight ends still there, and Tyler Warren or something like that?
I mean, no. No, Tyler Tyler Warren went to Penn State, went to the Colts at 14. So there's nobody in the tight end room that sticks out to me. There's nobody in the running back room that sticks out to me. The wide receiver room, I think Luther Burden III is going to be a very good wide receiver. Offensive tackle Josh Simmons is here. Offensive guard Tyler Booker is here. I think grabbing a guard would be more important than a tackle. In all honesty, if we're thinking realistic here, if Kenneth Grant is underrated on here and available right now, I think we go that route. I'm not opposed to that in the slightest. If that's cool with you.
Yeah, I love Kenneth Grant as a pick. He's one of my two guys that if he's available at 21 for Pittsburgh, they should sprint to the podium. And this is like, he's just a massive human. He's like 6'3" and change, 330 pounds. He moves like he's probably about 280, but he has an anchor like a guy that's 380. So you're getting the best of both worlds with a guy like this. So day one, you start him at nose tackle. You move Keanu Benton back out to defensive end, where I think he's a more natural fit, especially with his length. And Kenneth Grant has good length too. So this isn't just like a short, stubby nose tackle that isn't going to give you anything anywhere else. He weighed in at the combine at 6'3" and 5'8", so hair over 6'3", 331, 33.5-inch long arms. So he's got some good length for an interior defensive lineman. I think that would drastically change Pittsburgh's run defense and take them from being one that was good at the beginning of the year and one of the worst at the end of the year to immediately an elite run defense. So I'm all in on drafting Kenneth Grant.
Well, here we go with the first pick for the Steelers in the 2025 NFL Draft. Pick number 21 overall goes to Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle. Very curious to see who's going to be here when we pop up. I don't think. Oh, I forgot we don't have a second. I forgot about it. It's really sad. This is up to you. I think no. It sucks because I think Pittsburgh is going to entertain trades in the draft, but I don't want to do one if I don't like if it's not the one I think they'd accept.
Yeah, you got to read it to me because it's way too small for me.
We're giving up 83 and 185 for 100 and 113.
No, not tempting enough.
So
they don't gain any capital and they just move further back, which gives you another guy that may not be starter capable even.
Yeah. So a lot of guys taken off the board here. I'm just looking at some stuff. Not a lot of no top tier safeties left.
Yeah, and if the top four guys are already gone, then I'm kind of out of the safety market at that point. You know, I'd be okay with a flyer in the 6th or 7th round, but I feel like in the 3rd round, unless one of those top dudes fell, it's kind of a moot point.
Yeah, the biggest names here are quarterback Tyler Shaw from Louisville. Will Howard's here. You also have the running back room Cameron Scatterbo. The next running back off is going to be probably off the board. Wide receiver room is torn apart. Kyle Williams from Washington State. Torrey Horton from Colorado State. Savion Williams from TCU. We've talked about him. Tight end room is kind of destroyed. Gunnar Helm, Texas, is here. There's not a lot going on here.
So to me, what Pittsburgh should be looking at is what are the biggest needs on the team. I think if you draft a quarterback in the 3rd round, you're drafting him to be a future backup, usually at best case scenario, and I'm not really as interested in that in the 3rd round. Corner, you could be looking at someone to develop into a future starter. Running back could be someone you're looking to develop into a future starter. Even wide receiver, as much as I'm not really the biggest fan of taking a wide receiver early in this draft because of what Pittsburgh's roster looks like right now, could be someone that you would develop. Guard could be something too if you're looking at the eventual replacement of Isaac Seumalo, if there were a top guy that fell there.
Nobody fell. Everyone, Dylan Fairchild, Jackson Slater, Garrett Dellinger. Not a whole lot. I mean, Slater is a big boy, 6'3", 311. He ran a 5.01 40 at the combine, 32-inch long arms, 31 reps on the bench. But I
You
think
better get 31 reps if your arms are only 32 inches, right?
yeah. But there's a chance he'll be there when we're up again. If you want my honest opinion, here it would be a running back. I mean, if Scatabo is available here, that's a 1-2 punch again. You go from having Najee and Jalen to Jalen and him, and it's just as threatening in my opinion. But that's my personal opinion. If you want to do something else, we can do something else.
No, I think that I think that if there's a guy that falls, you really got to hard consider it for Pittsburgh, and they just love tough runners. I know that there's been a lot of rumors about Pittsburgh wanting to get a speed guy that can really turn the edge for them. But man, it's tough not to fall in love with the way Cam Scatterbo runs the ball. He runs so hard. He reminds me of watching Marshawn Lynch play, where he fights for every single yard, and sometimes it takes 3 or 4 guys to get him to the ground. Um, I love his versatility as far as receiving out of the backfield and even kind of lining up as a wide receiver. He shows soft hands.
Yep.
Just the lack of speed is the only thing, but Pittsburgh's never really been concerned about that. When you look at like James Conner ran a 4.66 when he came out. Najee Harris never even ran one, but it was well known that he wasn't that fast of a running back. Le'Veon Bell wasn't a real fast running back. He had some acceleration and agility, but the speed was not his game. So I feel like he would probably fit the mold for what Pittsburgh has done many times over the years, and probably make a lot of Steelers fans really excited.
Well, I guess we're going that route. Cameron Scatabo.
Let's go, man. Cam Scatabo. Why not?
Getting here into the 4th round. And we are.
I wonder if he's run his 40-yard dash yet. We're going to have to look that up after the show and see.
I mean, I can look it up right now while we're talking. But let's see. So who's still here? You have Will Howard, the quarterback, Jalen Reed, safety from Penn State, Dante Thornton, wide receiver, Tennessee. There's other defensive tackles if you want to double dip. Jackson Slater is still here at offensive guard. Luke Kandra, offensive guard from Cincinnati, 6'4", 319. I'm looking here.
So I would be curious what's available at the corner position, and then also what guys are still there at defensive line with the possibility of a double dip in this year's draft.
Jacob Parrish is the first corner on the board along with Tommy Hill, so no one really fell. Noel Williams is still available. He's rated at 193. We're sitting at 123. Defensive tackle, CJ West, Howard Cross the third, Jordan Phillips are the first top few here.
Looks like Jacob Parrish would be more of a slot guy, but a really fast one at that.
Okay.
So not necessarily something that should be ruled out. Size-wise, he's almost 5'10", 191 pounds. Shorter arms, just under 31 inches, but he ran a 4.35 and a 1.5, 110-yard split, 37.5-inch vert, 10.9 on his broad. So a highly athletic guy who size-wise would profile more as a slot corner. I don't know if he has any experience doing it or not.
Yeah, Cameron Scatabo ran a 40-yard dash in a private workout, by the way, reportedly clocking in at around 4.453 to 4.57.
Which for him is an awesome time.
Great time.
So, yeah, he should be very, very happy with that, because I feel like the reason he didn't run at the combine is that he wasn't confident it was going to be a high enough number, and he didn't want to hurt his draft stock. And that's a smart approach. You should go into that already knowing about what your numbers are. Nothing you should do at the combine should surprise you, because you should have been working out enough to know what your range is, what your jumps should be, what your times should be, what your bench should be. You should know what you're capable of going into that. And if it's not good enough and you think you can do better given a couple more weeks to try to cut a little extra weight or work on your explosion out of the blocks or whatever, then you should do that. So I think that was a great move for Scatabo there.
I on this pick, I'm leaning I'm in between three, and you can give me your input. I'm in between Jalen Reed, the safety from Penn State, also the offensive guard Luke Kandra, and the cornerback Jacob Parrish. You got to
What's
remember,
going on? We haven't looked at D tackle yet in this round. I was just curious to see what are the top like 3 or 4 dudes.
Yeah, CJ West, Howard Cross the third, and Jordan Phillips are the first 3.
Okay. So you're basically looking at more of a nose tackle type with Phillips, which I think we did that in a mock already.
I think we did as well.
Yeah. All right, so you had the safety from Penn State. Who were the other 2 guys you were considering? That was a guard?
The Jacob Parrish, the corner, and the offensive guard Luke Kandra. Kandra's from Cincinnati, 6'4", 319. This past season, he had 0 sacks and 8 pressures allowed on 447 snaps.
Mm. 31 7/8 on his arms, but 33 reps on the bench, so he's plenty strong. Which again, you kind of better be if you have short arms.
Yep.
Whew. You know what? I think that it's way beyond time that Pittsburgh actually treats the nickel corner position like a starting position, which is what it is. So my vote of this is going to be Jacob Parrish, and then you start him day 1 over Beanie Bishop, and you have yourself a high caliber nickel corner for the first time since Mike Hilton.
Jacob Parrish drafted now. All right, up next. Interesting things here. So for on the board, top guys that stick out just position wise. Safety RJ Mickens is still available from Clemson. You have JJ Pegues from the defensive tackle from Ole Miss. If you're looking quarterback, if you're just trying to bring a body in, Dylan Gabriel from Oregon and Riley Leonard are here from Notre Dame. Luke Kandra, the offensive guard, still there. I know that we talked about his arm length. Sebastian Castro, safety from Iowa.
Which I like Sebastian. Very curious, if you go to the edge, is Savion Jones still available?
Jack Sawyer is the first one available. I do not see the one you were talking about. What was his name?
Savion Jones.
Jones. I'm looking to see.
They list him at an edge, but at his size, he could easily be a 3-4 defensive end.
I don't see a Jones drafted recently, but I don't see him there either, unless he's super far down.
They might not have him valued as highly. It's tough to say. Some of these, you see some of the guys, and you're like, what in the world are they doing that far down?
Yeah, I don't even see him at all.
Maybe they have him listed in D tackle then. He used to be listed as an edge in some of these. I know that in the combine, that's where he worked out. To give you a reference point, he's out of LSU. He was at the Senior Bowl. Weighed in at 6'5", 280, 33.5-inch long arms, and has the ability to do some inside-outside. He was one of the guys that really turned my heads in that Senior Bowl, which I've been kind of keeping him as a back pocket option since then, where somebody I think that they could take in the later rounds like this, 5th, 6th, or 7th, and try to transform him into a future star. But if they don't have him, they don't have him.
Yeah, I don't see him taking. I'm going to go back to edge. Let me search Jones. Okay, nothing on edge and Jones. D tackle Jones, nothing. Linebacker Jones, nothing. So
they just don't even have him in their
yeah, may not even be on here.
Which is crazy for a Senior Bowl guy to not even be in their database, but that's all right. All right. Well, what are you thinking here? Are you thinking maybe the offensive lineman
I'm
or
thinking
JJ
offensive lineman or
Pegues? Or,
safety. I'm thinking
yeah,
offensive lineman or safety. That's
I
where I'm at.
think to me in this area, I would probably lean a little bit more towards the offensive lineman, knowing that Isaac Siamalu probably won't be extended in this upcoming season as his final season. As to where in the safety room, I could see them extending both Minka and Deshaun Elliott, since that was the best safety duo we've seen in years.
Look up
So
Clay Webb for me, offensive guard from Jacksonville State.
Clay Webb,
WEBB. See if that looks like somebody you'd be more interested in over Luke Kandra.
Webb, Jacksonville State. Weighed in at 6'3" and 2/8, 312, 32-inch on the arm length, 29 reps on the bench. So similar to your other guy. I think the other guy probably is a little bigger, a little stronger. So
Well, you want to go Kandra?
yeah, I think Luke Kandra probably a pretty good move here.
Okay. Kandra was the pick. All right, we're up at 185. We still got quarterbacks available. Jack Kaiser, linebacker, fell down to here. Defensive tackle, Simeon Barrow from Miami, Florida's here. Craig Woodson, the safety from California here. Shiloh Sanders is here. Shocker.
Yeah.
Ricky White, wide receiver, UNLV's here.
I don't want to break Nick's heart, but I'm not interested in slow wide receivers this late.
That's fine. Just looking here. Safety from Nevada, Kyton Crawford's here. 5'10", 202. Is an athletic and versatile safety known for his exceptional straight line speed, dynamic playmaking abilities.
4'4", 140 confirms that with 18 reps on the bench, 41.5 vert, 10.8 broad. That's a really athletic dude right there, man.
It's a lump of clay.
Yeah, almost 5'11", 202. That could be a special teams demon for you. I'm on board with that kid from Nevada there.
Here we go. Kyton Crawford, safety, picked up. Last
Might
pick
be Catan. There's a chance that's Catan.
It probably is. Kyton, Catan. Shiloh Sanders just went to the Detroit Lions, so there you go. So here's where you're probably thinking about double dipping. Vernon Broughton is the defensive tackle from Texas, still available here. 6'5", 311 pounds.
Oh, good length too. He's got 35-inch long arms. Yeah, I've not seen any tape on him, but as far as height, weight, length, that is 100% what they look for. So definitely someone to consider there.
In my mind, at this point, you're looking for lumps of clay and you're looking at best available. It's literally the two best available we have here. So it's Vernon Broughton, the DT from Texas, or Luke Lackey, the tight end from Iowa, because Iowa is known to develop phenomenal tight ends.
Luke 6'5", almost 6'6", 251, 32 and an eighth on his arm length. He didn't run at the combine, but jumped the 35-inch vert and a 10 broad. That wouldn't be a bad option either.
At this point, it's just what do we want? Tight end or another DT? Tight end room's pretty deep right now.
Yeah, is it though? The number 3 tight end is not a blocker, and neither is the number 4. So you don't have goal line.
The number 4 is a fullback.
Yeah, the number 3 is just a big wide receiver. Can you not hear me?
I can. I'm just thinking.
All right.
I'm just very. It's tough. They're both really good picks, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What do you think, tight end? I feel like you're leaning towards tight end.
I think I'm kind of leaning towards this tight end, man. I feel like that could be somebody you could stick in line and maybe help out with the goal line stuff because they've been having such an issue with just blocking things up correctly in short yardage and goal line situations. So I would be on board with that. Although the other kid, that defensive lineman, I think is exactly what you're looking for frame wise.
Well, Luke Lackey it is, tight end Iowa. Luke Lackey from Iowa, our last pick. So again, just to go through that, Kenneth Grant was our 21st overall pick for defensive tackle from Michigan. Cameron Scatabo was 83rd overall, running back from Arizona State. Jacob Parrish, cornerback from Kansas State, was our 123rd pick. 156 was Luke Kandra, offensive guard from Cincinnati. Katan Crawford, safety from Nevada, was at 185. And at 229, Luke Lackey, tight end from Iowa. So
yeah, I think this would be a nice class, man. You're looking at right out of the gate starters in Kenneth Grant and Jacob Parrish, and I would think that Cam Scatterbro would really push Jalen Warren for time running the football. And then you've got some depth pieces there, and even a possible starting guard for the future in Luke Kendra. So I think that would be a real nice haul for Pittsburgh.
yeah. If you guys have done any mock drafts, feel free to share them with us in the comments on this video or in the direct messages. DM us on any social media platform. We'd love to talk about you guys' draft. And if you guys get something right, listen, we'd love to shout you out on the show. If you draft someone that we didn't have that Pittsburgh winds up drafting, that would be really cool. And we would absolutely give you a shout out on the show. So again, we cannot thank you guys enough for listening or watching. If you're on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're at listening, Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere you're listening, we appreciate it. Don't forget to like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe, ring the bell. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Don't forget the 5-star reviews and Apple Podcasts. Make James here very happy. And until next time, this is your host, James and Cody, signing off.
Peace.